Hey folks, this is Book Talk with Corbin. This is part two. The first part I just put out there, freedom of speech matters. This is part two of freedom of speech matters. And I started the first one off. The first part I really focused on turning tragedy into triumph, how important that is. And I was going to include my talk about freedom of speech, the main issue. That motivated me to put that out. But I felt moved to first talk about turning tragedy to triumph. And I feel that that's, hopefully, prayerfully, it's something that can help some folk out there. But here is my main thing. Here's what I really wanted to talk about. And that's about the importance of freedom of speech. As you know, that's the First Amendment in the U.S. Constitution. There's a reason why it's the First Amendment. And I think more Americans need to read that First Amendment. You need to read it. And then you need to start contemplating and thinking, why was that the first one? And what's been the history of freedom of speech in the United States of America? And let me tell you folks something. Let me put out some questions there. Okay, name 3 countries where curtailing freedom of speech created a net benefit for that country's human rights and liberty situation. Okay, and just putting it out there. Name 2-3 countries where they severely curtailed freedom of speech and how that, in time, created a net benefit as far as human rights and liberty is concerned in that country. Name 2-3 situations. Here's a second question, I guess you might say. Name 2-3 countries where freedom of speech was curtailed, freedom of expression was curtailed, severely curtailed, and how did that turn out for them? Name 3 examples of countries where it did happen, the curtailing of freedom of speech and freedom of expression, and it turned into a disaster for that country, an obvious disaster. Name those three countries, okay? And then when you sort of answer those 2 questions, as you're contemplating those 2 questions, now started applying that, that knowledge you have, that thinking you've been doing, that critical thinking you've been doing, and respond to this. The Anti-Defamation League, which is an organization I have a lot of respect for, by the way. I've read their mission statement. I respect their mission statement, but I have a lot of serious issues and questions about the Anti-Defamation League's tactics and some of their requests and demands. A lot of serious questions. And most of you should be familiar with the whole book and movie that's called From Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. The ADL did approach, they have approached, what do they call it? Amazon. See, you can go to Amazon.com and buy that book or buy that movie. And as a matter of fact, I would encourage you to do that, particularly if you're a Black American. And why do I encourage you to do that? I encourage you to do that because you need to make your own decision if that book contains Holocaust denial bull in it, or if it has anti-Semitic bull in it. Because I'm literally still going through the book. That book is over 600 pages. And I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen the anti-Semitism or the Holocaust denial in it yet. So I'm black and I'm slow, so I'm just asking folks, hey, show me chapter and verse where this Holocaust denial stuff and anti-Semitism exists, because I'm not seeing it. And even if it is in there, the Holocaust denial and anti-Semitism, I do not in any way support ADL's request to Amazon.com to remove that book from their list, to remove that book from availability. I don't support that at all. 100% opposed to it. And ADL's even said, hey, if you don't remove it, then at least allow us to write some sort of disclaimer on the book. And I have some issues with that. here are my issues with this whole approach that ADL's taken towards Amazon.com. First of all, the approach they took towards them is not the approach they took towards Kyrie Irving. Do a comparison and contrast, and it was like, whoa, there's a difference. You know, in one situation, Kyrie Irving, they tried to buck break that black man. I mean, they went after him. They tried to they waged economic warfare against him in character assassination. Point blank, period, end of discussion. With Amazon.com, it was more like, hey, you know, we're an organization, we're a respected organization, and they are. ADL is a respected, well-connected organization. They've been up for close to 100 years, doing good work, and those are all facts as far as I'm concerned. Hey, Amazon, we're asking you to take it down. And if you don't want to take it down, please, we'll help you write a disclaimer to it. Boy, that's different. You see, that's like respect, showing respect. Hey, man, we want to come talk to you about doing X, Y, and Z. That's a heck of a lot different from, hey, Negro, Buddha, Buddha, Buddha. Real difference there. Maybe that's one reason why the ADL CEO was recently on the Breakfast Club. Okay, we all know that's like, Breakfast Club is like the radio program dealing with young black folk, that whole hip-hop culture situation, because they say, we need to do some damage control. You daggone right, you need to do some damage control, because most black folks saw straight through that. Yeah, you trotted out Shaq and Charles Barkley. Come on, guys, really? Come on, really? And you're trying to get us on your side with them folks. Are you serious? Come on, man. Hey, Shaq, Charles Barkley, whenever they want to talk about basketball, man, I listen to them all day, every day, twice on Sunday. Or even just professional sports in general, because, man, those guys are beasts in their day. And they probably, to this day, could probably go out in the court and give some of these young people a hard time. But making a commentary, a political commentary and cultural commentary, oh, come on, man. Come on. I could see you going to Dr. Boyce Watkins and approaching him, but I noticed they didn't do that. They didn't go to Louis Farrakhan. They didn't do that. Oh my God! Sometimes people's racism blinds them, because they just like, as black folk, at one point we really need to laugh about it. Did you really think the black folk were just going to fall like that? Well, let's get a black basketball player to talk to them. They'll see it our way. Come on, man. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me, real. Anyway, let me get off that. Here's the point. ADL wants to. There's a clear difference between the two, and we know why. Come on, it's clear. And if someone disagrees with me, please let me know. I'm black and I'm slow. I can be educated. And I mean that quite sincerely. I can be educated. I love hearing and dealing with other people's points of view on this. Here's the second thing I want to say to ADL. No, I don't think there should be any censorship. Who are you to censor things? Who are you? Or anybody else for that matter? What, do you think I'm stupid? I mean, I told you I'm black and I'm slow, but I'm not stupid. I can engage in my own research. I can engage in critical thinking. And I can make my own decision if that's a book full of nonsense or not. I can make my own decision on that. It's not for you, Amazon, or anybody else. NAACP, Urban League, Black Panther Party. It's not for any political pressure group to determine for me what's acceptable material or an acceptable book for me to read. I'm an adult. Now, I get you if you want to say, children should be, if you want to talk about children, that's great. But we're not talking about children. We're talking about adults. We're talking about consumers. We're talking about, dude, no, I'm not accepting that. That's not your role in my life. Now, I heard Barnes & Noble did take it down. Okay, cool. That's Barnes & Noble's decision. But I think Barnes & Noble was wrong, dead wrong. And I think anytime you start seeing people who curtail freedom of speech, freedom of expression, for political reasons or for ideological reasons, man, you're going down that slippery slope. I mean, it's just going to happen. And Barnes & Noble, I think, was flat out wrong. They're ignorant and they're cowardly. Flat out wrong. And I hope that Amazon does not succumb to that pressure from the ADL to take from Negroes to Hebrews, from Hebrews to Negroes, from the distribution list, from making it available. I don't. And I also hope they don't succumb to doing a, what do they call that? A disclaimer. Well, if you do a disclaimer for that book, when are you going to start doing disclaimers on other books? I mean, where does it stop? It doesn't stop. Because then if they succumb, if Amazon succumbs to the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, and they say, okay, we're no longer going to distribute this book here because it's got this in it, it's got that in it, for whatever reason they decide, it's an ideological reason, it's a political reason. I guarantee you the victim groups, the political pressure groups are going to line up. Oh, we got to take this book down because it's transphobic. Oh, we got to take this book down because it's anti-trans. Oh, we got to take this book down because it's racist. Oh, we got to take this book down because it promotes white supremacy. Oh, we got to take down this book because it promotes violence against black people. Oh, we got to take down this book because it promotes violence against women. Oh, we got to take down this book because it's misogynist. Ooh, hey, when does it stop? That's why one Amazon official said, man, this is a slippery slope. Well, for once, I agree with them. It is a slippery slope. And where's the stop? I'm going to tell you right now, and now I'm sort of speaking to, black folk in America. Hey, folk, we can't let someone take a paternalistic attitude towards us. Oh, y'all Negroes, you can't handle that now. You don't want to look at that. You see, you don't want to look at that. Dude, step aside. I'm an adult. I'm a thinking adult. And my people have fought in every major war to preserve this constitutional republic. And one of the reasons why so many of our men, black men, white men, have died in foreign soil was to protect our constitutional republic. And our Constitution's First Amendment says, the first one says, it talks about freedom of speech, freedom of expression. No. Wrong answer. You need to take a different approach, ADL. It's wrong. And it's got nothing to do about supporting neo-Nazism or Nazism or being a black Hitler or anti-Semitism. It's about free speech. It's about free speech. And I'm not going to support any political pressure group. The Black Panther Party, Nation of Islam, if any of them sat there and talked about suppressing free speech, freedom of expression, anything that undermines the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment, I'm standing against it. One, I'm standing against it because you take away that one, then the rest of the freedoms are definitely going to start. Rest of the freedoms, rights, is definitely going to start crumbling. That's why I asked you earlier, folks. Listen, remember I asked you earlier. Name 2-3 countries where, when freedom of speech was curtailed and severely curtailed, that it was a net benefit for that country's freedom and liberty and human rights situation. And then 2, I asked, name 2-3 countries where freedom of speech was severely curtailed and it did not create a net benefit in the way of human rights and liberty for that country. And then after you sort of done that kind of research and thought and contemplation, now let's look at what ADL is asking Amazon to do, i.e. the book From Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. No, man. This is a freedom of speech, freedom of expression issue. Now, I get it. If ADL wants to say, hey, we're going to put out a book counter to that, that's going to counter that, you know what my attitude is going to be? Hey, God bless you, brothers and sisters, and I'm going to buy it. Put out a pre-order, because I'll buy it. I'll buy it in a heartbeat. Even if they said, well, you got to make a contribution to ADL first, and then we'll send that type of book to you, I'll make a contribution. I've contributed to them in the past. I'll do it again. But no, your approach about curtailing freedom of speech, freedom of expression, no, not with it. Sorry. And, if you get upset because, you're only doing that because he's black, okay, I don't care what you think. I really don't. I don't care. I told you why I'm opposed to it, so if you want to twist it into something else, that's your business. But I will be saying this. I am saying this to some black men out there who are what I call black thought leaders of the left or the right or the center, wherever you may fall on the political spectrum. We need to always make sure we're front and center in the fight for the First Amendment. Always front and center in preserving and protecting the First Amendment. We always have to be there. Black male thought leaders, we always have to be there. I don't agree with Kevin Wayne Cosby and a lot of stuff, but daggone it, if anybody starts talking about suppressing his books or taking his books off this shelf or not making it available to people where people can make their own decision about whether or not they want to buy it, man, I'm standing against that. Dr. Ricky Jones there at the University of Louisville, oh my God, I can't stand him at all. But daggone it, you better not talk about his book's available on Amazon.com and then some political pressure group comes along and says, oh, we need to take that down. Or we need to write a disclaimer to it. Nope, wrong answer. And I'm telling you, I can't even begin to start telling you how much I can't stand Dr. Ricky Jones, but I will literally put my life on the line to defend his right to freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Literally, I will put my life on the line in defending that. Okay? We got other black male thought leaders. Robert Woodson, Dr. Thomas Sowell, and so many other brothers. You got Dr. Cornel West. Folks, we got to be front and center on this issue. This is a nonpartisan issue. And if we go look at situations in African nations where freedom of speech has been severely curtailed, it did nothing towards the upliftment of that particular country. Nothing. It spelled disaster for our folk in that country. You look at the history of black folk in the United States, we have fought not only in foreign wars to defend a constitutional republic, our U.S. Constitution, but right here on this soil, we fought tooth and nail freedom of expression. That's why we have black newspapers. That's why they exist to this day. That's why we have them. Frederick Douglass, when he'd go on lecture tours and he'd go into particular cities and talk about, give anti-slavery lectures, and how some of them white thugs will disrupt the speeches. And Frederick Douglass, he dealt with that whole issue of freedom of speech. He dealt with it. You take what Frederick Douglass wrote about freedom of speech at that time, you apply it to today. You see it today. You see it happening today. That's why the white left, the white Marxists, the white communists, they don't like quoting Frederick Douglass. They don't like it. Let me tell you something. There's some particular white groups out there. They are very, very, very critical of black nationalist organizations. And one thing you'll notice is that with black nationalist organizations, black men, are in the forefront of being the thought leaders, the intellectuals. And certain white groups, they're very critical of those black nationalist groups. What they are objectively critical of are black men who are engaged in critical thinking. Black men who are talking about, hey, here are some things we need to do to uplift the black community. They're not talking about here's some things we need to do to suck up to the white community or to attack the white community or to, things like that. No, they're saying those black male thought leaders in nationalist organizations, you really read what they're saying? The great 99% of what they're saying is they're saying to black folk, black men, women, and children, hey, we got to rise up. We got to do better. We got to do for self. We can't wait for somebody else to quote unquote free us. We can't wait for someone else to liberate us. We are our own liberators. That was a phrase from a anti-apartheid group in South Africa. And it was the Pan-Africanist Congress. That was one of their slogans. We are our own liberators. So I'll say all that to say this. As black folk, we fought too hard. We've done too much. And we know the net result is disaster. But hey, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Engage in critical thinking. Go just randomly choose some African nation and do some research on it. Like Liberia, or, Cameroon, Ghana, and research some of these white countries or European countries and see how they did with this whole curtailing of freedom of speech. And these Arab and Muslim nations, do some critical thinking, do some research, do some critical thinking about it. When it's all said and done, my strong opinion is that freedom of speech is absolutely essential. And because of that, from that premise, I'm vehemently opposed to what ADL's doing in regards to this one book from what's the name of the book again? From Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. Very much opposed to it. And that includes any disclaimers. Now, again, if the ADL says, hey, we're going to write a book that's counter to this, we're going to write a book that exposes their contradictory thinking, their stupidity, whatever. Their anti-Semitism. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. Freedom of expression, freedom of speech. I'm all for that. Let's engage one another in the marketplace of ideas. Hey, I'm all for that. But the way the ADL wants to approach it at this time, no, I'm not. I do not support that. And then secondly, I just wanted to point out to you the ADL's approach over this issue. Their approach towards Amazon was rather different than the way they approached Kyrie Irving. It was rather different. But we all know why. We all know why it was different. We all know why. Okay? We all know why. Hey, man, this is Book Talk with Corbin. Go check out my website booktalkwithcorbin.com. Please like, subscribe, share this podcast with other folks. And I'll catch you later.